Amanda with the Pretty House team and Palm Harbor Coastal Living. So I got a few email questions this past week from past clients and a few friends, family members who had reached out because they are in the middle of transactions in other parts of Florida. And one in particular kind of struck a chord with me because I think it's part of the process that people can get really confused by, they can get really bogged down in. And it's important that you know what you're getting into as a buyer and a seller before you go down this path, because Florida is a little bit different with contracts and real estate. So if you're moving from out of state, or if you haven't done this in a while, then knowing about this information before it smacks you in the face is important. And it could save you time, headache, money, and saving money is something that's nice. So what I'm going to talk about briefly this morning is your 4-point inspection. So when you go under contract as a buyer, you're going to do several different types of inspections. You'll do a general home inspection, you'll do a WDO report or a termite inspection. If you're from Georgia, you call them termite inspections. Apparently in Florida, they call them WDOs. So you'll do a wood destroying organism inspection. But if the house was built prior to 1989, you're also going to do what's called a 4-point inspection. 4-point. You'll do a wind mitigation, but we're not going to talk about that one today. So the 4-point inspection covers 4 things: plumbing, electrical, roof, HVAC. It is completely separate from your general inspection, which can be done typically by the same inspector. Make sure you get a good one. The 4-point inspection is for insurance purposes. So if this is confusing, just make a comment or ask a question and I can answer it because we're on live. So that's not a problem at all. So when you get your 4-point inspection, your inspector will deliver that to you. And if you're a buyer, it can be concerning depending on the relationship that your realtor has and how they're educating you about the process. So the 4-point items will typically be things that can affect the insurability of the house. So it's not that the house can't get insurance, it's just that these items need to be fixed in order for you to get the most affordable insurance possible, which of course you're going to want to do. Now, let's flip coins. Let's flip to the other side, which is the seller side. So you're under contract, you've had the general inspection, you're hoping that the buyers are, working through that with you. And then all of a sudden you get an email from the buyer's agent saying the house isn't insurable, these items have to be fixed or the deal is off. So first, take a deep breath, because in my experience, no deal is ever off just because someone says it in an email. I mean, people say lots of things in emails. My goodness gracious, people say way too many things in text messages, but don't get me started on that. So if you get an email from your agent saying these are items that are being flagged on the 4-point inspection, as a seller, you may not actually be responsible for doing those items. And what do I mean? So just because they need to be done doesn't mean they have to be done on your watch. There are many insurance providers who will allow the buyers to close on the property and then bind coverage after. Does that make sense? I'll go through it again. So instead of the seller feeling like they have to hurry up and find contractors and get the repairs done before closing, many of the repairs that are flagged on a 4-point inspection don't have to be done by the seller prior to closing. The buyers can close on the property, finish those repairs, and then the insurance can be bound. It might cost a little bit more for the buyers, but this is something that you can negotiate on. So now the email that I got was kind of interesting to me because my friends were the sellers and they were super excited, like insanely excited. They felt so lucky because the buyers were actually volunteering to pay to have the buyer's contractors do the repairs prior to closing. And then they just said, well, and I said, well, when are they going to be paid? Well, they're going to be paid, when we close. Okay, so that sounds fantastic, right? Who does not want somebody to do free work on their house? Hello, like, come work for free at my house anytime. It sounds amazing, but let's think that through, because my friends that are sellers did not want to hear what I had to say about this. But I think if you just stop and think for a minute, the free repairs that you're getting might not be what you think you're getting. So let's play this out, okay? Jerry, the buyer's electrician, comes over to fix some splices that need to be fixed. And Jerry's new on the job and he has hot hands, like I tend to have hot hands. And he has hot hands and he accidentally electrocutes himself. Now he doesn't die, which is great news for Jerry and his family, but he electrocutes himself pretty badly and it's in your house. Who's gonna pay for that? You think the buyers are gonna pay for that? That's not their house. They don't owe Jerry anything. Okay, so let's say it's not that big of a deal. Let's say it's just a few plumbing things, just a couple little plumbing things. Can be easily tweaked, but you've negotiated an as-is purchase. And now the buyers have offered to send in their plumber to do a couple of repairs. What if he makes them worse? What if a flood happens? What if something that wasn't previously noticed is then found by the plumber? Do you think your buyers are going to want to move forward if they find new plumbing repairs when the plumber starts digging around in there? Do you think that, let's say, our plumber's name is Philip and Jerry. Should have been Tom and Jerry, shouldn't it? Anyway, so Philip and Jerry are there. Philip's working on the plumbing, and a pipe bursts, floods the house, floods the whole house, because he was freaking out and he ran outside and accidentally the door locks automatically, locked out. By the time he got the buyer's phone number, then he got to the buyer's agent finally got to me, I finally got to the sellers. It's been an hour and a half. There is water all over that house. Who do you think is going to be responsible for that? You think your friendly buyers who offered to pay for the minimum repairs to get the house closed are going to pay for that? You think the house is going to close on time because you've got flooding now? And don't forget the guy almost electrocuted himself. Now we've got water and electricity mixing together. That's a bit dramatic, but just think that through. If you're going to allow someone to pay for repairs on your home prior to closing, it's still your home. What if they do a shoddy job? What if they do a roof repair for the buyers and it leaks anyway? Who's on the hook for that? You. It's your house. Now let's even play it out beautifully. It goes phenomenally. Those contractors were the best, most professional, best dressed, on time. They knew it. Splices are done. Repairs are done. Everybody's so flippin' happy. 2 days before the closing, the buyer loses his job. And he doesn't get his loan. So they're not closing. Do you think the buyers are going to pay for those repairs? Because they're not. Would your electrician have done it for a lower price? Possibly. But who's responsible for it now? You are. So while that may seem a bit silly, in real estate and in buying and selling houses, when you're dealing with contractors that have human hands and people that mistakes happen, you always want to think about what could possibly occur. Okay, great. I'm not going to have to do any repairs. I'm going to let the buyers come in and spend money on a house that's not theirs in the hopes that we actually close, and then they're going to pay contractors. But if none of that happens, whose house gets a lien filed on it? Yours. Not the buyers. Buyers are back out looking at more houses. They've moved on. They're not going to buy the flooded old house where Tom and Jerry almost died. That's crazy. So when you're in the process of buying a house and selling a house, I know right towards the end it gets squirrely and you just want it to be done. But just keep in mind what you're agreeing to when you agree to allow somebody who is not hired by you to do repairs, especially when you're tying the repairs to it occurring based upon a closing of a home. Because while 98 to 99% of my houses close, there's that 1% that don't. And don't even get me started on early occupancy agreements. We'll talk about those at another date. If you want my tips on how to fix your possible 4-point issues before you put your house on the market, so it's just one more hurdle that you can cross and actually sell your house as is, which is a nice thing to do, but very rarely happens in Florida. Just feel free. I'm going to have a link up when I repost this video in a few hours. Hopefully I can get it done in a few hours. I'll have a link up. You can just click on it and I'll shoot you the list of the top like 4 or 5 4-point issues that you'll see when you list your house, just things that you don't know are there. It's not going to like burn down in the middle of the night. Relax. So I hope you guys are having a great Tuesday, Taco Tuesday, and I hope that this was very helpful to you. I am Amanda with the Pretty House team and Palm Harbor Coastal Living. Make it a great day, guys. Bye.